Time to get into our Lions segment of the week. We have had a couple headlines coming out of the mini camp so far. I think the most popular one, though, has to be the media just burying Dan Campbell for wearing a racing helmet.
Yeah, well,
in a press conference.
Yeah, so the story is that Dan Campbell was selected to be kind of like a ambassador for the Detroit Grand Prix on Belle Isle this year, which is a tradition that's been going for a long time. But he was obviously excited about it, so he wore a racing helmet to one of his press conferences to break the news, I guess. I mean, why do people care?
It's so stupid. It's so stupid. I mean, the guy's having fun.
Yeah. I mean, I don't understand the problem.
And they're like, oh, he's taking this as a joke. Like, get a grip. And the media is just like not having it. And it's so stupid because it's slim pickings. Everybody's just looking for something to do. And it's like, shut up. It really is. Shut up with this, man.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, okay, we're Lions fans, so we're a little bit more sympathetic to Metallica Dan. But what if Metallica Dan was like the head coach of, like, I don't know, like the Jets or something, and he was talking about biting kneecaps off and like doing stuff like this? Like, how would we be looking at him? Like, would we be thinking the same way, or just thinking he's kind of seems like kind of a weirdo, or like, I don't know.
Like, I feel like you and I personally wouldn't be talking about it, just because it's like, who cares?
But why is he getting so much?
And I think it's just because I think the media would be talking about it, especially if he was the New York Jets head coach, because it's the New York market, and people just love to jump on that kind of stuff. But like, if he was the head coach of a good team and has had like some winning seasons, people would be like, oh my God, look at this thing Dan Campbell did. It's so funny.
He's so funny, man.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's so quirky. He's just having a good time.
Well, the Lions are seemingly the NFL's punching bag on a regular
100%.
basis. I'm not even kidding. I don't know if I've pointed this out in the podcast before, but like, if you watch any NFL TV spot, promotion, anything about like the league that's like an ad, there's guaranteed to be at least 1 to 2 clips of Lions being burned by other players.
100%.
Like, it's baffling. They find a way in every single ad that I've seen to do it. It's incredible.
100%. They are 100% the punching bag. It's like, and I feel like they get even a worse rap than the New York Jets. Like, I don't think that they would actually be as harsh on him if he was the head coach of the New York Jets, because like that's a historic franchise. I mean, we are too, but like, we're a historic franchise for being bad.
Yeah, we don't have a Joe Namath story.
Like, we don't have anything like that. So it's really stupid that this has become like the forefront of like talking about Dan Campbell compared to like, it's shocking because like when he was like, we're biting kneecaps off, everybody was like, oh yeah, that's funny. But then he does something like this and everybody's like, what are you doing? Get that off your head, you silly man. It's like,
it's very
so
blown out of
stupid.
proportion. I don't know.
And
kind of dumb to me.
You and I are not fans of Colin Cowherd. I find that guy to be an absolute joke.
Yeah.
There's been one clip where I've like genuinely agreed with him on, and he was talking about how Pittsburgh is like wasted these past 10 years. And you think about like the talent that they've had.
Yeah.
And I think they have like one Super Bowl to show for it, which in that aspect, it doesn't really make sense because they won a Super Bowl. They got the job done.
Yeah.
But the guy just makes the dumbest. I feel like it's the media in general at this point. They just make stupid takes for the sake of making stupid takes.
Well, it seems like it's ESPN's prerogative that everyone has a take.
Yeah,
that's like you have to yell and you have to have a take.
Yeah,
you can work at ESPN
100%.
As an anchor.
Yeah, it's like they're just going for clickbait stuff.
Yeah.
It's like Max Kellerman is another guy that he has a punchable face and possibly just loves being stupid for the sake of being stupid. His all-time worst take of all time was like, he said, if the aliens were invading and they said, you need one player on the Golden State Warriors to take the game-winning shot, he said, I'm going to have Andre Iguodala take it. And that was peak Warriors with Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, all these other guys. And it's like, you are literally just saying that to stand out.
He's just being a contrarian.
Yeah. You're literally just saying that because you want people to invoke you and want to attack you. And it's just so stupid. It's the same thing with this. There's absolutely nothing wrong with Dan Campbell wearing that helmet. It was a funny little gag.
Yeah.
And it's from a Lions fan perspective, it was nice to see.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of nice just because I know that Grand Prix is like a big deal in Detroit. Like it's
a big deal in Detroit. And, coming off the Quinn Trisha era.
Oh, God. Yeah.
It's like lighten up a little bit, It's like I enjoy seeing them have some fun at minicamp.
Well, Metallica Dan, you're always welcome on the Gridiron Zeros podcast.
Yeah,
we endorse your decisions to this point so far. Again, we're in the honeymoon phase right now, but
100%.
Yeah, let's go on to our next topic here.
Next topic, some players that have been making some noise. A couple obvious ones, a couple surprising ones. The first two, where everybody's talking about at camp, DeAndre Swift and TJ Hawkinson. This should come as no shock. The news coming out about DeAndre Swift is that he is apparently going to be lethal in the pass game this year.
Wow.
Anthony Lynn has had him lining up all over the field, which is super interesting, and I love to hear that because he is going to be one of our best players.
When Anthony Lynn was with the Chargers, he was using Austin Eckler a lot, right?
Very, very big pass catching running back.
Yeah, I'd like to see him more involved in that stuff. That'd be really good. I'm not surprised to hear that he's impressing. I mean, he really started to come out of his shell during the year last year, and he seems like he's been surrounded with a pretty good cast of people to like improve him and make him even better. So I'm glad to hear that it looks like everything is trending that way with him. I will say with Hawk, oh my goodness, his flow, his hair.
You kind of look like him.
Yeah, I got about the same length of hair right now, maybe. I love the look, man. Keep it up.
Yeah, no, I love that look too. He's becoming like a Grizzly veteran in year 3 at this point.
Well, he's allowed to have a personality. Now that Bob Quinn's gone, he's allowed to do things that he would like to do.
Yeah,
and be who he wants to be.
But he's coming out. A lot of people are saying that, and this should become no surprise, but he is going to be the number 1 target in the passing game.
Yeah.
No shock to anybody. He's going to be our best pass catcher. I am super excited to see what he's going to do in the red zone. I think that's where he's going to get his most targets. And if Goff is going to be able to rely on that in the red zone, I think Hawkinson could have anywhere from 8 to 12 touchdowns this year.
Yeah, he really took some big steps last year, and I think this year it's just going to go even further now that Dan Campbell's the head coach, and obviously a very tight end focused person. So I think he has a potential here to be a top 5 tight end in the NFL if all things go right. I mean, even if we're bad and Goff is just airing it out to just try and stay in games, Hawk's going to get a lot of action. He's going to get a lot of catches,
100%.
And he's no doubt on this current roster, based on what we have seen, he is the best receiver.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there's any question.
100%.
Because the other guys, you got Tyrell Williams, okay, you got
Rashard Perriman,
Amon St. Brown, Cephas. Like, these are guys that all maybe, I know there's more guys than that, but Hawk, it's like, it's pretty proven that he's going to be consistently good and
100%
reliable.
Yeah. It's the wide receiving core is another one that keeps coming out of these articles saying that it is truly anybody's race, which makes sense.
Well, it's got to be because they don't have a clear cut number 1 receiver right now.
Absolutely not. I mean, it's Hawk, but he's not even a wide receiver.
Yeah, we're talking exclusively the receiver room.
Victor Bolden apparently has been making some waves. Have no idea who this guy is.
Any relation to Anquan Bolden?
Probably not, but
who did actually have a brief stint with the Lions?
Yes,
by the way.
He did. But apparently Victor Bolden and Amon St. Brown have been making some waves at camp, which is really nice to see. It seems like everybody besides the 2 free agents we signed have been making waves. I haven't heard too much about those 2.
I'd love it if Brad Holmes, Polo, Magic here, and he's got these guys who are reminiscent of Cooper Kupp, and just.
Well, the interesting about Victor Bolden is this guy came out of nowhere. He's been on the practice squad for the past 2 years
of our team.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's super interesting. He apparently has some good returning skills, which is nice because we lost Jamal Agnew.
Yeah.
But yeah, Amon St. Brown, and also apparently Quintez Cephas has been looking to make a big leap this year as well.
People were high on him coming out of the draft last year, and he did a couple things last year. I mean, he had a couple nice grabs. There was nothing that he did that made me go like, wow, like he's definitely going to be a future pro.
Right. But the other thing to remember is that we had arguably one of the best wide receiving cores in the league last year.
Right.
He didn't have a whole lot of room to go out there and make plays because we had Kenny Golladay, we had Marvin Jones, we had Danny Amendola, we had Hawk, we had another tight end, Jesse James. We had a lot bigger names.
Right.
This year, he's going to be able to go out there and make some plays, most likely.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he was drafted in the last draft, considering the fact that Kenny Golladay and Marvin Jones are both going to be free agents coming up pretty soon here, and they're going to need options. So the question is, did Bob Quinn do a good job selecting him? Did he analyze him as a potential good player? He
flashed a couple times last year. He made some good plays. Jeff Okudah, I always remember this little factoid for some reason, but I remember hearing Jeff Okudah after the Lions drafted him saying that he was the best wide receiver that I went against
in college.
In college,
I remember that too.
Yeah, I mean they played each other every year, so it's going to be super interesting to see what Quintez Cephas does. I'm super excited to see this guy, Amon St. Brown, because that apparently was an absolute steal in the draft.
Yeah, I mean, I know that we're in the basement right now, and it's kind of it's not a glamorous spot to be in as an NFL team, just completely at the bottom.
I literally thought you were talking about our actual location. We're in Al's basement, and it's not that glamorous, but it's very Al.
Well, very true.
Yeah.
But no, I know this isn't a great spot to be in as a team, but I am a little excited to kind of just see we've got really a new look team here, and we're kind of at the foundation level, and I'm interested to see who sticks and who can make the most of this opportunity. This is one of those teams where people can just come on and they have a shot at pretty much any spot, and if they're this is how you find future stars.
This is how you find diamonds in the rough.
Exactly, right.
100%.
We have not been in this space since I've really been a Lions fan.
Yeah.
I started being a Lions fan during the Matthew Stafford era, really, because when we were really little, they were terrible, and
nobody really liked.
Yeah, they were very, very bad. So I think when Stafford came, we all kind of jumped back in, and
I was a couple years late. Yeah.
So yeah, it's an interesting spot to be in right now. Just this team really has no identity, and we're going to see if these young guys can really step up and make this team competent in any way.
Yeah, absolutely. Super interesting. Switching over to the other side of the ball, there's been a couple interesting headlines coming out of the defensive side. Let's start out with my favorite individual on the entire roster, Yolani Tavai, who apparently was coming in last season at 288, which is pretty thick for a linebacker who actually needs to move around the field at a pretty quick pace. But has apparently shed a ton of weight. Looks a lot faster, a lot slimmer, and has earned the respect, according to one article, of the coaches on the team.
I saw a picture of him. He definitely looked like he's trimmed down significantly. He looked a lot different.
Here's my thing, though. Did losing all that weight improve his tackling? I don't know.
I feel like that would make it worse, if anything.
That's what I'm thinking, too.
Lighter, it's kind of hard to bring people down.
At the end of the day, that was his biggest issue, was tackling. Because, that guy could not tackle an infant child.
He's been pretty darn bad.
Very bad. Very bad.
Yeah, between him and Jared Davis, that might have been the worst linebacking duo I've ever seen.
The worst linebacking core in the NFL, 100%. It'll be interesting to see what the linebacking core looks like this year. I am, only because I haven't seen him at all, super high up on Derek Brooks. I really wanted to see him play. I'm very for those linebackers that are going to get in the trenches and make tackles and stop the run. And that seems like what Derrick Brooks is. You can kind of tell because when he first got drafted, he was like, I want number 55 and I want to play middle linebacker. And I mean, like, that just appeals to me as a linebacking fan.
And he's got no competition, really.
He doesn't. Yeah, it's anybody's game with that linebacking core.
Right.
Yeah. So speaking of competition, apparently is also a pretty big open competition at the secondary spot at the moment.
So are we talking just safeties or are we talking corners as well?
I think from what I've read so far, it seems that the corners are going to be the biggest questions. And not questions as in like they're probably going to be bad or they're going to be good, but it's like who's going to start? Because I mean, obviously,
Okudah
that secondary is what it is. But apparently, Quentin Dunbar, who I believe we signed in the offseason, and Awarmiye are probably front runners to start at the moment
over Jeff Okudah.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
They've apparently had a pretty good camp. And I'm not saying that Okudah's been bad during this camp. I don't know how much we've seen of him. He did bump noggins with another teammate the other day and had to sit out for a little bit, but he seems to be fine. But I've also seen reports that he looks healthy. He looks spry, which I would hope. I mean,
you're talking about Dunbar?
No, I'm talking about Okudah.
Well, he should be spry. He's like
I know, that's what I'm saying.
old.
I know.
I mean,
it's really funny that they said he looks spry, considering that he's literally younger.
He's not like a wily veteran. Yeah. Like he's his second year in the league. I mean, what are you talking about here?
Yeah. So that would be super interesting to see because I mean, we drafted Okudah 3rd overall.
Dude, I just when you said that Dunbar and Awarmiye are kind of leaders in the clubhouse right now, I just had this like wave of just like dread kind of like run over me. Like Okudah's the guy we took at 3.
Yeah. Well, it's not the guy that they took at 3.
I know. I mean, I don't blame them for doing what they want to do.
Yeah.
It's their roster now, but
they're going to play whoever's looking the best. But I mean, like if Okudah is not looking the best, and that is a huge issue.
You got to be kidding me that we spent the 3rd pick on this guy. And then he's behind Quentin Dunbar.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a huge problem if this is like
100%.
That's like a huge issue.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's going to be he needs to like get it going now. And I mean, like it's you and I have said this a couple times now on the pod, but that is probably the toughest position to translate from college to the NFL. So,
well, I know he didn't have the greatest year last year. I know, putting it nicely, but he did have a couple really good plays. He made some interceptions, and like he had some flashes. He wasn't like a non-factor for the entire year.
Yeah,
I'm so confused as to why his trajectory right now is just like the outlook is not looking good.
No, not
as of right now.
Yeah, and
maybe I'm overreacting to what you're telling me, but it's definitely not comforting to hear that that's where they're lining up to practice right now.
Yeah. Let's end this segment on a more of a positive note.
All right.
The offensive line seems to be having a lot of confidence at the moment, which is awesome.
They should, man.
Jonah Jackson came out and said that he believes that they can be the best offensive line in the NFL.
I've been saying it since the draft.
Which they have the talent to do so at the moment.
I think they 100% could be the best offensive line in the NFL. They're one really like
solid right guard.
Yeah.
That's the one weak spot in my opinion.
But everything else is like well above average.
Well above average. Jonah Jackson, he has a legit shot at making the jump to an elite left guard. All right, maybe not an elite left guard, but a very good left guard, very solid left guard this season. You obviously have Penei Sewell You obviously have Penei Sewell who has a lot of expectations, but
all the potential
in the world. You have 2 Pro Bowlers and Taylor Decker on the left tackle and Frank Ragnow in the center position.
Ragnow, you could even make a argument that he's the best center in the NFL.
Yeah, he's up there, 100% in my opinion. I mean, biased opinion, but nevertheless. And then you have Vaitai at right guard, which
we talked about it before. We need to see what we got with him. I mean, very fast, and then just move on if not.
Terrell Cosby had a backup tackle, which very well could be one of the better backup tackles in the NFL.
Yeah, man. Just compare this O-line to like the Bengals or the Vikings. I mean, this is a spicy unit. I like that we're building this thing out from the trenches, man. I like the game plan.
Yeah. Last thing that we should probably touch on is a follow-up from last week's episode about Todd Gurley. Yeah. There has been no signing yet, but he did also visit the Ravens.
Yes.
So now it really starts to beg the question, what is he looking for currently?
Well, I think that, as we said last week, if he were to sign here, it seems like it would probably be for a role player type thing, and it wouldn't be a huge contract, and it would be like a goal line or whatever kind of back. Him visiting Baltimore is interesting to me because that is something where I see that maybe they're thinking they can get like a Mark Ingram 2.0, where it's just like a veteran guy that they can really depend on to have a lot of touches and stuff. And I mean, when I think of Todd Gurley, what he would want, that seems like more aligned to probably what he's thinking.
Yeah.
Baltimore's a very run heavy team, so it makes more sense for him to sign there than here at this point. So I would bet if there was between those two teams, he'd go Baltimore.
So I did see something. I believe some of the media is leaning on the idea that he is looking for the best offer, which really is an interesting aspect to this, because if he comes to Detroit, he is more than likely going to be RB2.
Over Jamal Williams.
Possibly. That's what I'm saying. You know, he possibly is even RB3. I don't think it's a committee per se. I think that there's a clear-cut number one running back on that team.
Well,
it's DeAndre Swift.
But even so, I mean, it could be a situation where he's RB1 and Swift is getting 65 to 70% of the carries, but you still got 30% that you're going to give to Jamal Williams
and Todd Gurley.
Todd Gurley or whoever. Yeah. I always forget the name of the rookie guy that we got.
Jamar Jefferson, I believe his name is.
Yeah.
Which could
what a strong name.
Completely be wrong, by the way. I can't remember off the top of my head.
No, I think you're right.
I think that's what it is. Very strong name. But when he goes to Baltimore, that seems more like
he could be RB1 there.
Possible RB1, more than likely a committee. Because that's Dobbins. What they had Dobbins, and I think they still have Gus Edwards, who for some reason they're very high on.
Yeah, Dobbins last year didn't really blow the doors off per se, from what I can remember. I had him on my fantasy team.
What's interesting is that he didn't really do that, but they also really kind of just shut out Mark Ingram.
Yeah.
Halfway through. I remember he was a healthy scratch in their game against the Titans in the playoffs, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But I see that being a realistic situation, possible RB1, but really running back by committee. So if he's looking for the best offer, I would imagine that Baltimore isn't offering him more than what we are offering him.
I think we have more cap room.
We have more cap room. And I really think Baltimore they probably have some interest in him, but they're kind of like, take it or leave it.
Yeah. I think that's where anyone who has serious interest in him at this point is kind of at.
I think
no one's bringing him in thinking we can't let him leave. He's got to be our running back.
I think that we're not at that point, but I think we're more inclined to being let's bring him in.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I don't know why, but I think that is where Detroit kind of sits with him. So I think it's interesting, and I think if that is where we're leaning, then he's going to be RB2 over Jamal Williams.
Yeah, I don't know.
Which will probably piss Jamal Williams off.
It's hard to predict at this point.
Yeah, 100%. Sure. It's super hard to predict. But I think that's kind of that's my guess of where the situation is currently. He doesn't want the situation that Detroit's offering, but they're offering him more money than Baltimore, where he is getting probably closer to a situation that he's looking for.
Right. Well, we'll keep an eye on it. If anything happens in the next week or so here, we'll be sure to touch on it. But right now, he's still out there, and we're still a contender, it sounds like. So
yeah.